Cool. So also, I just want to point out that as someone who was given a court-appointed attorney, it should not suddenly be a surprise to me that someone else has illegal guardianship over me or has guardianship over me or that they've made allegations that I'm disabled. Why is it that you guys had me taking care of a kid and then you went through all of this, this huge orchestration to take a child away, and then you give me an attorney, but secretly my attorney's not really working for me because secretly I'm disabled. And so secretly my attorney and everyone else actually represents the people who my kid is with now, because those are my guardians. Those have been my they have conservatorship over me, I guess. Why is it that I only just find out about that after all of these years, or all of these months, right at the what's supposed to be one of the last hearing, or a hearing that I was told I was going to be able to speak during, and was silenced immediately. Literally, my microphone was muted, and the attorney who couldn't send me a proper link to actually be a part of the video part of that call. Literally, if you're not going to allow me to see by video and then you're going to mute me at the same time, then basically I'm just listening in on everyone else's court hearing about me. I don't even have a say in it. So, if I'm so disabled that someone else has guardianship over me, I'm not understanding why I've had to go through all of this torture and torment and bullying. Like, that should be a pretty valid question for me to ask. Why would you give me an attorney if you're just going to tell me that secretly I've just been disabled this entire time and I never really have had a say? Especially, like, it's been over a year, but the judge did ask me if I wanted to represent myself. So, and then additionally, the last time that you guys did this to me in a different state, you actually did give me a psychological evaluation, and the results of that were shared during court and outside of court. The results of that were that I didn't have any signs of mental illness, and that I had an average to high IQ. They didn't want to admit that I had a high IQ. They just had to throw the average part in there. Because according to them, intelligence has to do with them being paid not enough to be a professional. So great, yeah, because I'm so disabled that I don't have any real attorney-client privileges. All of my attorneys have secretly, I guess, behind my back, been working for my family who has fraudulent guardianship over me. And that has just been everybody's lean back excuse as to why everybody all together decided to do nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. Cool. And every time that I would actually go through the horrifying process of making a report about my family, like risking my life, like it was already at risk, they were already trying to have me executed and had already tried about 1 million times. And here I am trying to make reports to CPS because no one else seems to be handling the police or any other reports that I make seriously. And I actually thought that CPS was going to take my reports seriously. They apparently did not take one report seriously. And I've made several of them, like I said, in more than one state. Like, I went in and explained to deputies at the sheriff's department um, that my family had all gone in on this thing to unalive my grandfather. They actually succeeded in that. He definitely passed before it was his time. Um, that is a major part of my story. So, and I know that I made videos about 6 people who ended up being victims, that their lives were taken. I made videos yesterday highlighting only 6 of the people who have fallen prey to my family. I still have more videos to make about that. My grandfather is one of them. My great grandmother, Ela, is also one of them. I'm still not sure what happened to my grandfather's body. He asked for his ashes to be spread on the property that he purchased for his grandkids, but that never happened. And I was also told that I can't be on that property or, use any of that. And why would I want to be anywhere near my family who are trying to murder me and who have paid all of these different people to murder me in all of these different ways and to try to make me handicapped in all these different ways, and to record me and to upload videos and pictures of me online and to sell them to people worldwide. I was talking about the haircut thing earlier. So it's been this thing that for basically my whole life, if I acquire makeup or jewelry or anything nice like that, that it's taken away from me. Like, people, they were literally just going in my apartment and taking the bags of makeup and jewelry out of my apartment. And that would just be that. It would be, $1,500 worth of makeup and jewelry just gone. And I would just have to deal with that because the apparently females who are stalking me or who have been paid to watch, stalk, monitor, harass, copy me, whatever, they don't want me to have makeup and jewelry. So that's weird. So I've just had to go without makeup and jewelry this whole time because basically if I get any of it, it's stolen. Now, right now I have some jewelry. I did land at a place where I have been allowed to use the mail here and I have received a little bit of mail. I've ordered some really cheap jewelry from a certain website that everyone is using right now. I'd never used it before. It was stupid for me to enter the address online to wherever I was, probably, and to have anything sent here. It's just like one of the things that were happening here. So I just was like, cool, and ordered some rings and stuff. But I'm sure that, of course, if I continue on like this with no one pulling me out of the situation or correcting the issue with my kid or whatever, that I'll eventually, I might wear those for a while, or I might end up having to like trade or sell those. Either way, it's whatever. But I needed to get my hair cut about a year and a half ago. We were somewhere in there, like I was still in California, and one of the traffickers offered to cut it for me. I thought that he'd at least have the sense enough to cut it right or to cut it like normal looking, but he deliberately cut it like all shitty looking. And then he even took a picture of how shitty looking it was and was like, and laughing on all fucking retarded. And I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm just going to have to wait until I get somewhere where I can panhandle and get the money and actually pay one of these people to actually cut my hair really well or whatever. And it would take like over a year before I actually made it to a place where I could panhandle and like panhandle well enough to, and be there long enough to even to consider something like a luxury, like having your hair cut or whatever, especially as somebody who was that homeless and pushed out and like treated that bad for that long. Like I had to really be on my toes, not just while I'm on the streets, but even indoors and stuff like that around, because I can't trust any of these people. You know what I mean? I know that until I'm rescued literally from this situation or pulled out of it, given my money, given my home, given my kid back, something, until something happens to me, for me, that basically I'm gonna constantly and 24/7 be surrounded by people who are part of different groups, or that those groups have access to them, and that I'm not really going to be safe anywhere. Um, right now, I would like to get a driver's license again, but people know that that's something that I would like to do. So I've started to do things like order a social security card. I ordered that social security card over 2 months ago. It still has supposedly not made it to the address that I had it sent to. I need to order a birth certificate, but all of a sudden for that city, in order to order a birth certificate, you have to go through all these extra stupid measures and have some crap notarized and all this other stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I've never had to deal with that. Getting birth certificates from any other state. I literally walk into the state where my kid was born, into the courthouse, and pay $5 to get a copy of his birth certificate. So I'm not understanding why at my place of birth, that it's going to cost me between $46 and $150 for a birth certificate. And I have to go through all of these other special hoops and stuff in order to get it. I basically have to go there, show up myself with at least $200 from the sounds of things, and hope to God that there's some way that I can get my own birth certificate. I don't know, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I feel like it's all part of a setup, because they keep stealing my birth certificates and social security cards and my driver's license. And that's what they've done this entire time. I don't even know how many times I've had to reorder and get a new birth certificate and social security card. So yeah, and when they had me robbed in Reno, Nevada, when they were like holding me hostage during the same time frame that they had my kid visiting my sister, they were really trying to do a lot more than they did to me. I had to escape that situation. It was really bad, and they robbed me of everything. I haven't had a driver's license since then. They committed some kind of fraud with my food stamp card at the time, which was the only thing that I had that was money or any way to get food or whatever at the time. They did something with it. Somebody ended up getting arrested at the same time. And then my California food stamps were cut off, and I wasn't able to get food stamps again until I got to West Virginia like a couple months ago. I had to cross the whole last United States and wait over a year after that to even get help with food again. Since I'm not allowed to work or whatever, since you guys are going to have my bosses poison me, lure me into their homes, or you know what I mean, do other weird, heinous things to me, use my identity to purchase the business that I'm working in, and use my identity and information to go to Mexico and purchase Jeeps in my name. There's an awful lot that's happened, and I have made reports about a lot of these things, and I'm still out here being treated like I'm handicapped, basically. I raised the money while I was in Socorro, New Mexico, waiting to talk to my kid. I raised the money to actually go get my haircut, at which time I also wanted to buy turquoise earrings And there was an authentic turquoise jewelry store where I could get my hair cut. And they called her and let her know ahead of time that I was actually on my way there. And I don't know if they threatened her or what they did, but when the lady was leaving, when I showed up to get my hair cut, she was shaking, afraid, and she had to tell me that she was leaving. And that was all. She was just like, I'm leaving. No, I'm a guy. I can't help you. I'm leaving. You know what I mean? That's what they did when they knew I was going to go get my hair cut somewhere. And then they had these other salon people like set up to, I guess, set me up somehow and use my hair that they cut for whatever weird stuff. I don't even know, but I did hear about that on the internet at the same time that I was trying to get my hair cut. There were literally videos that came up that were like, hey, these people are waiting for you to come get your haircut at this place because they're planning on doing yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Well, I only want to get my haircut at this one place because I want to, kill two birds with one stone. And I want to be able to walk around with these authentic turquoise, earrings, even if it does cost me $45 or $80 for a pair of little tiny stud turquoise earrings or whatever that I, even though I can go and get into one of these turquoise veins and cut out a piece of turquoise myself that's this big, I guess as a homeless person, if I want turquoise earrings, I'm going to have to beg on the side of the road for the money but I really wanted those turquoise earrings, and I haven't had anything the whole time I've been out here, and everybody tries to make sure that I look like shit and I feel like shit and that I'm treated like shit all the time. And I just wanted to have my hair cut nice for just a little bit and get some earrings and stuff like that. And there is something cool about being from the Southwest and wherever you go throughout the United States, people being able to identify, hey, that person's got, a little bit of Southwestern gear on, like maybe they're from the Southwest. Hey, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I like that. There's just something about that. And, but of course, while I'm, being stalked and trafficked and treated like shit, and dragged and pushed across the entire U.S., I'm, of course, not allowed to get my hair cut or wear earrings or whatever unless they're ordered from some Chinese site. So great. Yeah, I was just going back into the haircut thing because it was something that I touched on in the last video that I didn't fully explain, and I felt like I sounded goofy after I made the video. I was like, I have to explain more so what I'm talking about with this haircut thing. Also, same thing with jewelry, crossing the country, any kind of jewelry that I would have. And it's not just like that for every homeless person. It's not just like that for everybody who's involved with whatever. And I'm not involved in anything. If I'm being moved across the country from place to place to place to place, then how can I be affiliated with anybody? If there's nobody for me to call or call upon or anything like that, then how can you say that I'm hanging out with the wrong people or the wrong crowd or I'm just doing it wrong? If I don't entirely have any control fully over the fact that people are stalking me and attacking me, I only have a little bit of control over well, what city do you sort of want to shoot for? You know what I mean? Oh, well, I make it to this city or this town or this place, or I made it to, here to make the report that I've desperately needed to make that I couldn't have maybe made 5 years ago, but now I can make it. And now maybe that I've made this report, I'll be able to save my life and save all these other people's lives. And maybe I could, I made that report. Maybe I can rest easy. Hopefully that's all I needed to do to save these lives and stuff. But not ever single one time is any report has it ever been enough to save anyone's life so far. So you guys can keep being like, oh, everything's going to be okay, sweetheart. When obviously things are not okay. Nobody has done anything to try to make anything okay. Okay, so I also, as I've said in other videos, I do have medical proof. I have actually had to show up at the hospitals and explain to nurses what was happening. They actually recorded that information. They tried really hard to get me to tell them They tried really hard to get me to admit to them that I was with a trafficker right then. And I actually was with a trafficker who was going to rob me. And I knew that. He was planning on doing more than that. But I gave them the information. I told them about at least one person who would not stop harassing me, whose name is Richard. He lives out in Lamar, Colorado. They even let me talk on the phone too. I did not mean to make any stupid satanic hand signs just then. This is a phone like this. They even had me talk on the phone to like a lady sheriff or a lady officer in Lamar, and she acted like she took this situation very seriously and was going to go out and talk to Richard. I also let her know about how Richard is actually guilty of a MDK that has to do with the drive-by shooting out in Pueblo, Colorado. Apparently nobody took me seriously about any of that because lo and behold, here was Richard thinking that it was okay to just hit me up and to have all these little prostitutes that he hangs out with hit me up on Messenger and stuff. And basically it's this chronic situation of me making reports about things as serious as, rape, incest rape resulting in childbirth, murders, child sex trafficking, child pornography, the illegal exploitation of everyone. It's a million bazillion reports that I've tried to make about these things, and none of those people that I'm reporting on are being really, like, nothing is being done to where, like, I even stepped away from the town where they had human sacrifices and all this. They were doing all this rape stuff and everything. I stepped away from that town for 3 years. For over 3 years, I came back to that town. All of those people are still there doing just fine. I had to literally walk through the town, waiting to run into at any time people who are part of a murder for hire campaign against me, and I did run into them, or people who had me sexually assaulted, some of whom recorded it. Some of them recorded it right in front of me. They held their cameras like this. Here, let me find it. Let me show you what it was like. You guys need me to demonstrate everything. It would be like somebody coming in, right? So we can even do it like this, okay? So let's say that you are the purple light bulb and the rapist assailant, okay, is going to be the orange light bulb, right? Okay. No, you guys need full video reports, and you need full-fledged, like, demonstrations, okay? So it was like this, wasn't it? Was it like that? All right, so it would be like, JW coming in, okay, and being able to record, okay, this light bulb hurting this light bulb. Here you go. It would have been like this. Okay, just like that. And at other times, they would have also been recording things like that. Only I didn't fully know it yet because I didn't have any of them come in like this and hold their cameras like this, recording it all. Okay? Yeah, I'm not sure you guys are, like, I hope that everyone can clearly see how irritating it is for me to have actually, like, for things to have, like, made it this far, to just have gone on this long, that, that literally I'm living in a world where there is no law and order. There is no justice system in my life whatsoever. They'll show up to get a video of me that somebody, made in Fast Break or whatever. All of them knew that I was on my way there. They'll show up and they'll take anyone's reports about me, I guess, or whatever, but they can't accept any of my reports. I'm not even a real person. I might as well be a fucking wooden puppet. I have tried to make these reports about Eugene Weimer is his name. He's out in Durban, West Virginia. He would have known about my sister, who was right next door to me. And apparently there's two different sisters, but they're both working together doing the same thing. And one may have even replaced the other. I'm not quite sure what happened there. But the plan was to replace me with either a sister or a brother. Anyways, they replaced me with different people at different times because they had different people dressed like me, showing up to banks, using my signature, using my what was supposed to be my bank accounts. If you have conservatorship over me, why would you have to forge my signature? Wouldn't you just need to sign your signature? Cool. And if you're my attorney, then why couldn't you have advised me before all of this that my kid was sent to sex traffickers? You didn't tell me that my kid was sent anywhere, and you made it, which left it open so that whenever they told me during the court hearing that you chose not to show up during, you also didn't give anyone any notice that you weren't showing up to the hearing. You didn't tell me that you weren't going to be at the hearing. You just simply didn't show up. And I told everybody that I didn't need you to be there, that I would represent myself. And for some reason, they went with that for a little while, and then they had somebody else show up and say that they were going to try to represent me or whatever, or they said that they acted like they were trying to get a hold of my lawyer all of a sudden. Well, why would you need to get a hold of my lawyer? My lawyer was the one that sent me information about this case months ago, or this court hearing months ago. Like you couldn't tell me that my kid was already sent somewhere. That's kind of a big deal for one of your clients' kids to be adopted out into anywhere. That would be a pretty big. That would be a reason why I would think that an attorney would want to contact their client. I'm not sure why that would be a secret up until a day of a court hearing, and then, the lawyer still not show up to say anything. Your attorney-client privileges cease to exist when we find out that you're a fucking sex trafficker and that you're helping a part of a murder for hire campaign against us, and that you're trying to silence us. You're not really working for us. You're working for the people who our kids are sent to. You know what I mean? When we figure that out about you, you court-appointed family court traffickers or whatever. Yeah, when I find out that you're part of a murder for hire sex trafficking campaign, I'm definitely going to say something about it. And I already tried to say something on the down low about it, which was also to you, because for some reason we're not allowed to make reports to we're not allowed to complain about these lawyers without them seeing the information firsthand. So literally the grievances that I filed basically against my lawyers go straight to them for them to see. And then they get even more desperate to get me out of the picture, and to silence me and to discredit me, because they think that their entire lives and whatever is on the line. I don't know how many different court appointed attorneys that they've had do this shit to me. So also, as my attorney, it would have been important for you to advise me at some point at one of these attorneys that you guys have given me over the last 5 or 6 years. You couldn't have told me that someone had fraudulent guardianship over me, or that someone was claiming that I was disabled. Why would you even put me through all of this shit and treat me like I was the one who had to be dissected? I was the one under fire, and I was the one who made all of these mistakes, and had to be drug tested every single morning for 2.5 years, that I had to get up, and rain, sleet, snow, hail, didn't fucking matter. I still had to get up almost every single morning. Somehow, I don't understand how a person could need to be drug tested every single morning for 2.5 years, but that's what they did to me. This is the kind of stuff that they've been allowed to do to try to hold me accountable, while they simultaneously say that I'm too disabled to say anything, make reports, to know the name of my kid's dad or anything else. And obviously, if this was a situation where someone had conservatorship over me, they could have settled all this down one of the first times that I did make a report, which has been oh, it's been since I was 33. But one of the first times recently that I made a report, which has been, it's been about it's been going on over 2 years ago since I showed up at the police department and at the sheriff's department, told them at least the base information that they needed to know, which was that you guys were being pedophile sex traffickers and that you guys killed my grandpa. Those are pretty big things for you guys to not really be in trouble for, is, you know, murder. That's kind of a big deal. And also throughout all this, thinking back, I'm not sure, like I said, that they didn't also take out my great grandma and my Aunt Sheila. And they may have even had something to do with what happened to my Aunt Sheila's family afterwards. But you guys might consider that old news. I have plenty of new news. I have plenty of information to support all of my claims. But the simple fact is that even though I've flooded the internet with information that supports everything that I say, no one has ever come to me to, interrogate me personally or to ask me any questions. They instead just have these little videos where they misrepresent stories, and they expect me to get upset enough about it to try to correct it online. And I guess and it's just been like this terrible provocation and torture, basically, and me relentlessly feeling like I have to defend myself over a long period of time, which is something that could have gone on in a short period of time if the if the right people had actually sat down with me and got all the information that I had to give them. But they didn't care about receiving my information. In fact, they think that they already have all of my information because of the sheer amount of monitoring and recording that they have done. Nobody needs me because they have recorded everything about me. So they wouldn't ever care about what I know about. Because the information that I have is actually of detriment to anyone, to so many different people, and isn't actually going to help them, and is only going to help me in my situation. And really, I never needed for everyone to tackle all of the evils involved in my situation all at the same time. What I really only needed was for people to make sure that my kid was okay. And people did not make sure that my kid was okay. Even the whole time that he was in the foster home that he was in, he was with an evil woman who was playing along with y'all's plots and plans, and acting some type of way every time that he would be on the phone with me. She would cut our conversation short. She did not let us talk. It's been absolutely horrible. As I've mentioned in other videos, I haven't actually seen my son's face in over 15 months. My child trafficking social worker cut us off from talking to each other during the summertime. She didn't just find out about me last October, just find out about me. No, it's been over 15 months since she let me talk to my kids. She literally said, I'm going to end visits with you guys, and then I'm going to set you guys up on some video visits. Well, okay, we were doing video visits 3 days a week. And she ended all that and said that she was going to start it up again. And then they all worked together to give my kid to the same people who have done this to us my entire life. And they kept me out here running me around all over the place, trying to get me to sleep with people so that they could gather pictures and videos of it. And they tried to say that it was part of a prostitution sting operation, but they're actually selling the pictures and videos. If I would have messed with anybody, or at any time whenever I did mess with anybody, they actually capture footage of it and sell that footage. That is not a sting operation. That is not an investigation. You've got a mother out here who's still traumatized from what you guys did to her in childhood. These people were messing with me while I was asleep. I would wake up to them having cameras set up. I didn't have any pants on. And at 7 years old, okay, at 7 years old, I had to realize that my parents were probably doing things with me while I was asleep, that they were putting things in my food and drink to make it to where I would stay asleep so they could mess with me while I was asleep. Okay. And I've called in and shown up in person to try to explain this to police. There was one time that the cop said, well, we've got this investigator set up to talk to you, but we just need you to call back in 2 days. And my parents and family who had access and control over my phone knew that I was desperately just trying to call that information in right then, because they knew that my phone was going to get shut off in 2 days. The message had even already been sent to my phone and was in my text messages, and my family have my phone mirrored. And they know when I pay my bills, obviously, and all that. So they literally had the cops tell me to call back in a couple days whenever my phone was turned off. And of course you would think, well, just get your phone turned back on, or we'll just call from a different number. No, it doesn't work like that. When your family knows that you're about to give the information to an investigator in a couple days that's going to shut them down and shut their whole shit down, they're not going to let you go hang out with people with phones. No, they're going to make your life an absolute living hell. They're going to send in everything that they have, all their greatest forces, to do everything that they can to distract you from any kind of re-up on a phone or making phone calls, or they'll put a totally different, seemingly more dire situation in front of you. Somebody else's life. Oh, well, if I just hurry up and make that, if I find out that, or if I can get a hold of a phone to make a report about that, you know what I mean? And hey, can I use your phone to make these police reports? No, I didn't meet that many traffickers who would have actually been cool with me using their phones or computers to, call the people who I needed to call in order to end the situation that they were orchestrating around me. Yeah, this has actually been a really difficult and horrible, complicated and complex situation. I've shown up more than once and tried to call more than once, and written and called and even made CPS reports, and at this point even made adult protective reports. I've mentioned to many different groups what has gone on and what has been happening. And every single day I don't hear anything back. Every single day my kid probably just gets up and, does his thing with these trafficker people who are like responsible for all of these heinous things happening to us. And he has to deal with that. And I'm just out here having to deal with the fact that, I am also in a situation where I get poisoned, or I have to deal with different shit. Anyways, my situation is my situation, but, people could have already pulled me out of it. Money was stolen from me. Somebody could have helped me with that. People know that I'm the subject of a really, really big murder for hire campaign. Nobody's brought me any information about that. There are a lot of different cases, situations, complaints that have been made, reports that have been made, a lot of different, stuff that people have to work with, and no one has done anything. No one has lifted a finger, and I absolutely 100% believe that you guys are just trying to cover up a nationwide sex trafficking ring, and that's basically one of the biggest reasons why you're not doing anything, and I really don't appreciate it. Anyways, this is not the only video that I have to make about this, and I just have so much to say, and as I'm trying to explain to you guys, it actually feels like it's hard to talk about, and this is the number one thing that I write about all day, every day, so it's I guess that these next few videos that I make about this, which I don't know if it's going to be directly after this one, it might, I might slow it down a little bit, just a tiny bit, and make a couple more videos about some people who died, and then start back up on this Please Rescue My Kid campaign thing again. I hope some people already put that in order with the last video, but I doubt it because you guys don't do anything apparently. Like, I watch these videos on YouTube where, like, you know, that Florida sheriff and the feds and all these people go in and apparently raid and bust, save all these kids and stuff like that. And like, I'm starting to just like, honestly, I'm starting to think that they just put that on for show sometimes to act like they're doing something. But like, after being across the whole nation and being somebody who was moved around by a network of people who are all affiliated, and they're affiliated with law enforcement, and they're all working with dirty cops and stuff like that, it's made it pretty obvious to me that, you know, the Freemasons and the police are all part of a really corrupt, you know, human sex trafficking, child trafficking, and pornography ring you guys got going on across the entire United States. And yeah, I am calling you out, you Freemasons and you Eastern Stars, for being one of the most major parts of just the most major, most disgusting sex trafficking ring that the United States has ever seen. You've completely destroyed our country. You guys completely destroyed our nation with that shit. Letting you know right now. Anyways, this isn't my only video. I wish somebody would go rescue my kid from traffickers. Peace out for now.